Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling one of the most popular and honestly one of the most misunderstood supplements out there, creatine. So when I say creatine, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably a huge bodybuilder, right? Well, what if I told you that image doesn't even begin to tell the whole story? Think again, because the science is showing us it's also for your brain, your bones, and yeah, your long-term health. Seriously. So stick around, because we're about to completely flip the script on what you thought you knew about this little molecule. Okay, so let's dive into this. Before we get into all the cool benefits, we've got to cover the basics. What actually is creatine? And here's a little spoiler for you. It's not some weird synthetic thing cooked up in a lab. It's actually a totally natural compound. Your own body makes it, in your liver, your kidneys, and you get it from food too, especially red meat and seafood. And get this, about 95% of it is just stored right there in your muscles, kind of waiting in the wings to be used. It's a really fundamental part of our biology. So how does it all work? Well, the best way to think about it is like a rapid recharge battery pack for your cells. See, your cells use this molecule called ATP for quick, high-speed energy. But when you use it, it turns into this low-energy version called ADP, and that's where creatine comes in. The stored form, phosphocreatine, swoops in, hands its phosphate over to ADP, and boom, it's instantly recharged back into high-energy ATP. It's what gives you that extra burst of power. So that rapid recharge system is absolutely crucial. And this is where things get really interesting, because its benefits build into so much more, going way, way beyond the gym. We're talking about benefits for your whole body, not just your biceps. This is really the cutting edge of creatine science right now. I mean, we all know about the muscle and strength stuff, but the new research is pointing to some pretty amazing benefits for your bone health, how sharp your brain is, how you manage blood glucose, and even your heart health. It's a much bigger story. Let's talk about the brain, because this is fascinating. Your brain, just like your muscles, uses a ton of energy. And when it's under stress, maybe you pulled an all-nighter or you're just tackling a really hard problem, that's when creatine can really step up. Studies are showing it can help improve things like working memory and how fast you process information. It basically helps your brain stay on its A game when it's under pressure. Okay, and what about your bones? This is a great one. I love this analogy from Dr. Scott Forbes. He says to think of your bone as a brick wall. The cells that add new bricks to that wall are called osteoblasts. And it turns out creatine actually increases their activity. So it helps you build a stronger wall. And when you pair that with resistance training, the effect is even more powerful. It's a real 1-2 punch for bone strength. And believe it or not, the list just keeps going. The International Society of Sports Nutrition points to a whole bunch of other well-researched benefits. For example, it can help you recover faster after a workout, it can lessen how much muscle damage you get, and it can even help you tolerate exercising in the heat better. There's even some really promising evidence that it offers neuroprotection after a brain injury. It's pretty incredible stuff. So with all these amazing benefits, you're probably wondering, why is there so much confusion and frankly fear around creatine? Well, let's clear things up. We're going to tackle the biggest myths head on with the actual facts. Okay, let's get the biggest one out of the way right now. Myth. Creatine is an anabolic steroid. Fact. Absolutely not. No way. This is completely false. Like we just talked about, creatine is a natural amino acid compound your body uses for energy. Anabolic steroids? Those are synthetic hormones, completely different chemical structure, completely different function. They're not even in the same ballpark. All right, next up, the myth that creatine causes bloating and water retention. Here's the deal with that. It does increase water, but it's where it increases it that matters. Creatine pulls water inside your muscle cells. This is actually a good thing. It's what's called cell volumization, and it's a key signal for muscle growth. This is not the subcutaneous puffy bloating under your skin that people worry about. And long-term studies show it doesn't increase your total body water relative to your muscle mass. And now for the most serious myth, that creatine damages your kidneys. Let me be crystal clear. Fact. This is false. For healthy people, the science is just overwhelming on this. We're talking numerous long-term studies, some lasting up to 5 years with people taking high doses. like up to 30 grams a day, and they found zero negative impact on kidney function. The evidence is incredibly strong. Okay, so with those myths busted, let's get down to the practical stuff. How should you actually take it? What's the best way to get all these benefits? Well, the science gives us some really clear, simple guidance. So you've basically got two main options, and it's really straightforward. You can do what's called a loading phase. That's where you take a higher amount, maybe 20 grams a day for about a week, to quickly fill up your muscle stores. Or you can just start with the daily maintenance dose, which is slower. Both roads lead to the same destination. It's just a matter of whether you want to get there in a week or in about a month. So that leads to the big question, right? Do you have to do that loading phase? And the answer is nope. You don't. Loading is totally optional. It just gets your muscles saturated faster. If you want to feel the full effects as quickly as possible, then sure, load away. But if you're patient, a simple, steady 3 to 5 grams a day will get you to the exact same place in about a month. It's just personal preference. So you might be wondering, who responds best to this? Well, a lot of it comes down to where you're starting from. Since creatine is mainly found in meat and fish, people who are vegetarians or vegans tend to have lower natural stores in their muscles. And that means when they start supplementing, they often see a more noticeable effect. They just have more room in the tank to fill up, so to speak. All right, let's boil this all down into a super simple cheat sheet based on the scientific consensus. First, the best form to take? Creatine monohydrate. It's the most studied, it's the most effective, and it's the most affordable. Easy. Second, how much? 3 to 5 grams a day is the sweet spot for maintenance. Third, when to take it? Consistency is really the most important thing, but taking it sometime around your workout might give you a tiny extra edge. And finally, do you need to cycle it? Nope, not necessary at all. Continuous use is safe and effective. So, we've gone through the science, we've looked at the surprising benefits, we've busted the myths. What's the final verdict? What's the key takeaway here? Well, don't just take my word for it. Let's look at what the experts say. The International Society of Sports Nutrition, these guys are one of the top authorities in this field. They confirm that creatine is one of the most effective, ergogenic, or performance-enhancing supplements you can get. And that conclusion isn't just a guess. It's built on a literal mountain of evidence. We're talking over 1,000 scientific studies. Just let that sink in for a second. That makes creatine one of the most researched supplements on the entire planet. Its safety and its effectiveness have been looked at again and again and again. And that brings us back to where we started, but with a new perspective. We asked if creatine was just for bodybuilders. But now we know it supports our muscles, yes, but also our bones and even our brains. So this leads to a much bigger, much more powerful question. With all these wide-ranging benefits, could creatine actually be one of the key supplements for supporting healthy aging, for helping us stay strong and sharp throughout our entire lives? The science is definitely pointing in that direction. Thanks for tuning in.